Welcome to this week's episode of Inside the Headset presented by CoachComm. Did you miss some presentations or discussions from the 2024 convention? Beginning on Monday, February 26th, all content from the 2024 convention will be posted in the AFCA library. Be sure to check out all the content from this year's convention. In this week's episode, we feature the 2023 NAIA Coach of the Year panel. In this discussion, former Keiser head coach Doug Socha, St. Xavier head coach Mike Feminis, Evangel head coach Chuck Hepola, and Northwestern head coach Mike McCarty discuss what contributed to their successful seasons and what the AFCA has meant to them in their careers. But first, a word from CoachComm.
Deuce left, check with me. If they're in quarters match, we're going to Pittsburgh or Ohio.
They're in zero.
Let's go Hippo, Seattle, wide choice. If we call the protection right, it's 6.
When a play call is the difference between winning and losing, your headset choice could be your most important decision. When the call counts, CoachComm is the only choice for clear, dependable communication. Visit CoachComm.com for more info.
We got it, guys. Good job.
Now, let's get inside the headset.
Welcome, guys. I'm really honored to sit with you. We were talking beforehand about, in my 14 years as head coach, I only had one opportunity to be regional coach of the year. And so I want to congratulate you on this. And again, I'm humbled to be with any coaches, but especially a group like yourselves that had such a great year.
Appreciate it.
We talk an awful lot about every season is a little bit different. Things play out differently. And so the first question I've always asked in these roundtables is, you guys had special years. And there was probably some uniqueness to your year that over any other year maybe that you had. And I've always found these fascinating. And I know that our coaches, this could help them down the road as they're kind of trying to prepare to have that kind of great year to recognize some of these things. First of all, Doug, congratulations on national championship.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
That's pretty special, obviously. And then even in your time frame, and because I'd like for you to kind of speak to how long your program has been in existence. And because I recognize that starting a program and doing those kind of things and the challenges that come, and now all of a sudden to have this kind of success. So let's talk about your year, not just the national championship game, but just what made this year really, really special for you.
Yeah, I think, I think we've been building the program for 6 years, and we've been to the playoffs, and we played for a national title last year and came out on one end of it that wasn't the winning side. And then I think the big thing for this year's team was really just the consistency in our locker room. I think we've got great character, and I think that's how we've recruited, and I think our staff, and I just think everything is really well aligned. We didn't really compromise much off of anything from our standards, and we've got really good players, and I tell everyone in recruiting that our players are the best thing in our program, and certainly they came to work, they never went through the motions, and we demand a lot of them, and at some point the leadership in our locker room kind of took over the team. And when those guys start holding each other accountable and to the standard, then you've got something special. So I would really, it comes down to character and talent.
Boy, I've done an awful lot of these, and I can remember back to where I had some decent teams, and sometimes talent, as you mentioned, is significant. So much of this tends to be about just ownership and chemistry. Yeah. And it sounds like that you guys had that.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that's the biggest difference. If we look back to a Final Four finish, and we evaluate our roster, and we look at our players, and even our coaching staff, and it's about having the right people in the building and everyone aligned and everyone consistent. Our standard is never compromised. Everyone's holding each other accountable. And then once the players start holding those guys accountable, it's pretty special. I think that's where we're at.
Absolutely. Mike, I want to ask you the same question, because I think and you might have some of the similar answers, because those things tends to resonate through every kind of program. Your year, great year. Tell us about kind of what this year was, why it was so special.
Well, it was special because we're used to making pretty deep playoff runs, and the last couple of years we had gotten knocked out in the first round. And I think what made this year kind of special was we actually had a three-season starter at quarterback that ended up getting beat out by a transfer, a redshirt freshman transfer who had never taken a snap in college ball. So we made a very tough decision as a staff to go with this young kid, and played really well in our first game, beat a good St. Francis, Indiana team, and then in week 2 against Marion, he broke his wrist. So as you can imagine, although I don't know if anybody can imagine, unless you're a quarterback, that imagine a kid that was a starter for 3 seasons and had success and gets beat out by the new kid. I was really proud of his maturity and how he handled everything, because I'm not sure I could have at the age of 21. So when that happened, it was really a moment for our team and our older guys and our leaders, and I was really proud of them that after when we found out that Aiden has broke his wrist and his season-ending injury, and the older guys had a meeting with me and they said, "Coach, we got this. We're gonna be fine." And to Stuart Ross' credit, he had a really good year for us, and the guys really rallied around him. And ironically, we had played Marion in the first round of the playoffs the year before and got beaten. Student had a real good game. 1 year later, we play Marion, same exact situation in round 1, and he gets the opportunity, and he played really well. And we won that game, and unfortunately lost to a great Northwestern team in the quarterfinals. But it was one of those, for me in all my years here, I was really proud of how the team rallied around each other, but it was specifically one young man who had a very, very difficult situation at the beginning of the year.
That's an incredible story. I know one that probably for the rest of your coaching career you can kind of point back to that young man and kind of go through that with everyone when you're making those tough decisions and say, this is what happened to him. So Jalen Hurts, Tua, type of thing in Alabama there, and how he kind of rallied. I did not know that. That's a really interesting story. Senior?
He's a senior. He's got the bonus year. He's going to come back. To play his last year that he could play. So we'll have another very interesting offseason.
That's what I was getting ready to say. With the freshman coming back too.
It's a nice problem to have.
Good for you.
Nice problem to have. Yeah.
Good for you, Chuck. Great season this year. Similar question to you. Obviously, you guys have had some success. This was a real breakout for you this year. Let's talk about your season.
Yeah, some of the things I'm hearing is very similar. We really push our players to be a player-led program. Now, I'm real careful how I say that too, because I want it to be a player-led, coach-led program, because the coaches have to provide leadership too. And I think sometimes when we say player-led, sometimes guys get confused by that and think they're the only ones leading. And so we've got to make sure that it's coach-led, player-led. But unity, I'm a big culture guy within our program, and so unity is the most important thing to me. And I'm really talking about unity daily with our team, daily with our coaching staff, and making sure that we have unity within our team and our coaching staff, and that we're executing our vision. And this is a little statement I always give to the team every year that I say, we have one vision in this program. And if we have more than one vision in this program, it's called division. And so we've got to make sure that everybody understands the division of the program, staying aligned. So some of the same things you're hearing from being aligned to player-led to unity of the staff, but it's not just talk, you have to execute it, because culture is what you teach and what you tolerate. And if you teach a certain thing, you're going to probably get that. If you tolerate something, you're definitely going to get that. And so that's one of the things that we spend a lot of time talking about. If I've got players on the team that are struggling, the unity side, we're going to get them in there, because the one thing, next year I think will be my 33rd year of coaching. The one common denominator, I've coached FBS, FCS, Division II, NAIA high school. The common denominator on the teams that I've been that were successful and not was 100% unity. And so I spend most of my time trying to make sure everybody's on the same page. And then I remind them unity doesn't mean uniformity too, because that means sometimes we're going to disagree, and we can agree to disagree, but when we walk out that door, we're all rowing in the same direction, and so that's a big part of what we do. And I think our guys executed that very well this year, and therein lies our success.
I'm going to take a little personal moment here. Chuck, you worked for my dad.
I did.
And
He's a
mentor. My dad has passed, but my dad was a high school coach. And just listening to you, it brought back some memories for me. I appreciate that. That was kind of interesting.
You bet. In fact, the local media will tell me that quite a bit. They say that they hear a lot of Reuben Berry and some of the things I'm saying. Your dad was a mentor to me, and I'm very proud of that.
How about that? We first met when didn't have as much gray hair as what we have.
That's exactly right. Exactly right.
Matt, again, another great season. Congratulations, and obviously we've and I'm sure you've had kind of a lot of the similar things, but each one of you guys have said something a little bit unique, and I appreciate that. Matt, how about your season?
Yeah, for us, we had to replace 14 starters from the team that won the championship the year before.
Yeah, exactly.
But the hunger that our guys had and the focus that they had from when we started last January of not resting on having a great season the year before, but the consistency that they worked with and the focus that they had week in and week out to just continue to play better. Like their focus was we wanted to play our best every time we stepped on the field. And those guys did that. And it was fun to see them just continue to grow throughout the season. And the other piece, we lost a lot of really good players from the year before. This group really embodied the team aspect. They were really better together, and they embraced that. There was no egos. It was about the team being its best. And they really bought into that, and they really exemplified being stronger as a unit and as a team. And so that was really fun to see is that group become bigger than they were individually because they cared about each other.
Hey, I want to congratulate you too on the fact that I think it's one of the greatest challenges that during my coaching time frame was taking that group that had success, and like you said, you lost an awful lot of players, and so basically the dynamics, the chemistry changed a little bit, and I've always kind of referred to it as the disease of me, where you have some success and then all of a sudden this, like, well, I did this and I did that, or now it's my turn. And all of a sudden it starts infecting the team a little bit because everything starts revolving around more individual thoughts than team thoughts.
Yeah, and I think it starts with the leadership. Our best players are our best leaders. And I think that's when that happens, that's huge. They set the tone for everybody else. You know, the culture piece and the way that our players have really embraced. And to me, the players are the ones, we can cast the vision, but the players have to buy in and they have to really build and cultivate the culture. And our leaders, our best players have been our best leaders. And they model it every single day. They're humble, they're hungry, they're the ones that work the hardest. And I think when you can do that, you get something special.
Well, I appreciate all those statements. I want to change gears here just a little bit, and we kind of talked about this before we went on air. I gained so much from being a member of the association. Actually, 40 years ago, almost to the day, I was actually at this hotel. I was graduate assistant at the University of Tennessee, first convention I ever attended. So motivated by all the coaches that were in presence, somewhat intimidating because I was, had a young bride and we needed to make some more money and I needed to get a job too. But I was really inspired by the group, and I walked out of the convention that year going, this is what I want to do. I know this in my heart. I had other options, but this is what I wanted to do. And I started getting involved in association. So I want to talk to you guys about maybe some unique things that have happened to you with the AFCA or with the conventions to maybe inspire some of our listeners to get more engaged in our profession, because this is the association that moves our business and our profession. Douglas, again, let's start with you.
Yeah, I would. The first thing I would say, this is the greatest profession, and obviously we're in it and we believe that. But I think what we have the opportunity to do, I was a high school coach at one point, and now I'm at this level. I feel I can touch these young people the same way and impact their lives. And then I just think coming to this convention, and this is probably my 20th year coming, just the relationships that I've been able to build. You come here, you learn some football, but the networking and the relationships and the brotherhood that I think in this building of all these coaches, we're all in this, we want to win, we want to compete, and guys are trying to move up, and that's great. But really at the foundation of coaching football, we've got an opportunity to really help our country. And so the association's been great. I would always encourage my young coaches to come here, get involved, join committees, and do as much as you can to give back, because football's done so much for all of us, and certainly this association is really at the core of it.
I appreciate that. Mike, same question.
Well, my first one was in 1998, and I became a head coach in 1999. And that year, I was the youngest head coach in the country at the NAIA level, and I was. I need to make a decision as far as my life, where I was going. I was getting married soon, everything else, and I played small college football. I loved small college football, and I made a decision along with my wife a long time ago that we were going to do the small college thing instead of doing the moving up the ladder. And when you come to a convention, you obviously you see so many of the guys you're seeing on TV. You know, you walk down the hall and you see Joe Paterno walk down the hall, and you're just like, wow, holy cow. And so you see so much of that, and you hear so many great speakers. Lou Holtz was one of the best I've ever heard, even though I grew up a Michigan fan, but he was one of the best I've ever heard. And yet the one speaker that I will say really touched home with me was Coach Westring at Pacific Lutheran, because he talked about, Division I's a mindset. It's one of those things where it doesn't matter what level you're coaching at. But the opportunity to work with kids, and especially today, it's such a crucial time. Kids between 18 and 22, they need that guidance. They need that leadership. Because they're gonna 99% of them, even at that level, aren't going to be playing the NFL.
That's exactly right.
So, and they're going to be husbands and fathers someday, and those are crucial years. So, I love working with the level athlete that we do, and yet it's so neat to was able to text back and forth with Kalen DeBoer last week a couple of times. I was fortunate or unfortunate enough to play Sioux Falls, 3 times when he first started out at Sioux Falls. And he didn't forget where he came from, So I have a lot of respect for a guy like him and Lance Leipold that was at UW Whitewater. So I feel like I got the best of all worlds because I'm getting to coach the level and the guys that I want to coach. And yet when our season's over, I get to watch the big guys too. I took my family to the Rose Bowl a year ago, and it was just an unbelievable experience. A couple of years ago, I was able to go to the Michigan-Ohio State game. So it's been an incredible journey for me. I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world.
That's outstanding. Chuck, same question for you.
Yeah, it's. I would echo what Coach said. It's the greatest profession in the world. I mean, how many professions are there that your name is attached to what you do for a living? And that's what we do here. I mean, Coach Hepola, Coach Barry, Coach. It's just there's just something special about that and very, very unique. And the convention's always great for me because it's about building relationships. Relationships, in my opinion, because our greatest resource, my greatest resource at my university is my players and my coaches. And so it's not the buildings, it's not the greatest resource is people. And so you get a chance to meet people. And so when I leave the convention, I always feel like I'll just use the cliche, if you learned one thing, it was worth it all. But to me, if you learn one thing and you met somebody new, it's worth it all. It's worth it all to be a part of this association. And you've done an outstanding job of accelerating the AFCA, and I'm proud to be a member of it.
I appreciate it. It's very kind of you. You mentioned something. I always thought this was fascinating, and you guys kind of referenced it also. But you come here and you learn. And can you imagine going to a convention, a business convention, and everybody willing to share their secrets? I mean, that would never happen. But as coaches, we care so much about the game that we share our secrets here at the convention about, not just the plays, the nuances. And I've always found that fascinating, and I appreciate too, Chuck, you mentioning, there's not very many professions, doctor,
Exactly.
Dr. Hepola, but not very many professions get their moniker attached.
Literally, before I walked into this meeting, I was seeing a friend of mine that I worked together at a previous university, and he was talking to me about what we do with our kickoff team, and I was telling him what we do with our kickoff team. And so we're just sitting there talking about how to make him better, which is making me better. It's just the greatest profession in the world, and it just gives you chills to be a part of it. And I'm just very, very thankful, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, there's Matt, I'd turn it over to you here, but there is kind of a little rallying cry, I think, amongst coaches in the sense that we're all competitors, but we care more about, kind of what happens with the game. Matt?
Yeah, I think the convention and the AFCA is awesome because of the relationships that you get to build and the opportunity that you get to interact with so many other coaches. For me, I've over the years, when I was an assistant coach to now as a head coach, just being able to come and build relationships with the coaches that you've competed against. And I've competed against both Doug and Mike and a couple times, and you get to know them outside of the football field, and you get to learn from them. And it's about mentoring, it's about relationships, and the opportunity that you have to learn from the coaches that you compete against and build relationships with them off the field. It makes it special, and it's fun, and it's fun to then line up against them and compete again, because they're great people and you're all doing the same thing and trying to build young people, and it's such an awesome profession. And so many of us got into coaching because we had great coaches and great mentors, and I think you can embrace that, and the idea that you have an opportunity to impact people is pretty special.
Guys, this has been special for me. I really, really appreciate your comments. Congratulate you all on great seasons. Wish you the best as we move forward and enjoying our convention. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
CoachComm has been delivering tough headsets for tough teams for more than 31 years. It's why 97% of FBS teams and thousands of high schools across the country rely on CoachComm. Get the best for your team. Visit CoachComm.com for more info.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Inside the Headset, presented by CoachComm. If you'd like to learn more about this week's episode, head over to AFCA.com. There, you can access every episode and find corresponding show notes. Remember, you can catch every episode of Inside the Headset, presented by CoachComm, on wherever you get your podcasts, including Spotify, Apple, and YouTube. While you're there, we'd love for you to take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. Your feedback helps us improve and grow. Keep up with the latest news by following us on social media. Connect with us at Inside the Headset, and remember to tag us when you share your favorite episodes. For more updates on all things AFCA, be sure to follow the @WeAreAFCA social media accounts. If you're not a part of the AFCA community yet, visit AFCA.com to join thousands of NFL, college, and high school coaches nationwide and across the globe. Elevate your coaching game with an AFCA membership. You'll gain exclusive access to the annual AFCA convention, magazine, digital library, and AFCA Insider email. Stay up to date with the latest stories and news on the AFCA website. More than just a convention, the AFCA offers continuous education, guidance, networking, and more. Celebrate the past and shape the future with the AFCA. It's about fostering exceptional coaches who create outstanding teams and even better individuals. Invest in your skills and make a lasting impact today by engaging with the AFCA. Your journey starts here.